Mobile games have been around for quite some time now. As someone who lived through the initial birth and subsequent boom of the smartphone craze, it's definitely neat to see how we went from these tiny little shovelware-esque Java games on a flip phone to full-on 3D Unity-powered games on these sleek glass panes that fit right into our pockets. Though sadly, mobile games are really nothing like they used to be, and well, mostly all are centered around either scamming children or turning the common working individual like you and I into gambling addicts. But somewhere in between both of those things, there are still some games that give a little bit of value to those who wish to avoid spending money. And while the game in today's video is no such game, I still find myself missing it a lot from time to time when I'm reminded of its existence. Back when I was really weebing it out and studying Japanese every day for several hours and really only consuming Japanese media, I also happened to be at the peak of my descent into idle hell. More specifically, the Love Live series. And actually, if some have pointed out in videos, I have a pretty extensive collection of Awkwars merch. What can I say? I really love Awkwars, and I especially love their early discography. So I'm sure to no one's surprise that at that time, I was basically playing the Love Live School Idol Festival's All-Star game for iOS and Android basically every single day. I remember when the game first came out, it was actually wild to go from the very archaic UI and gameplay of School Idol Festival to this beautiful, much more modernized and mostly 3D game. But the thing that really made me come to love CFAS over Sif was the considerably different gameplay. You see, Sif was a full-on mobile rhythm game, whereas CFAS was more of a hybrid of an RPG and a rhythm game, and I'm not making this up. The Google Play page for this app even called itself a rhythm game RPG hybrid thing. Anyway, I found that the focus was more on the RPG aspect than the rhythm game aspect, and for this reason, I became super addicted to the gameplay. You're telling me I get to collect my best girls, train them up, and watch as they absolutely go bonkers in some song for a high score? Or get completely wiped out, causing me to rage quit. On top of that, the game had PvP aspects. Now, mainly they were surrounding high scores for just individual songs and what were called events, but one PvP aspect that was always a lot of fun for me personally were the Super Big Lives, or SBL. Essentially, you were competing with around 10, or 20 if you were on the Japanese servers, other players all playing one song at the same time, and you were all trying to score first in 4 categories: score, skill activation, SP skill activation, and recovery activation. Now, I won't go into details of what all that means or how the game mechanic works or anything, but basically it meant that if you didn't get good and start bringing home some awards, you would be finishing off the SPL mostly empty-handed. And to be honest, it was also quite a lot of fun to get badges for winning tons of awards and flexing in lobbies. At this point though, you can probably see where this story is starting to go, because June 30th of 2023, Love Live School Idol Festival All-Stars closed its servers and shut down for good. Further adding insult to injury, the supposed successor to both this game and Sif got both its global release announcement and closure notice on the same day in the same announcement. You heard that correctly. A game was both announced a global release and announced to shut down at the exact same time before said game had even been released yet. It was truly a one-of-a-kind of event for both Love Live fans and mobile gamers alike. And so just like that, they not only took away my favorite mobile game, but they also took away any possible alternatives to it before they were even accessible. As the years go on... Oh, what's that? It's only been like 2 years? Oh, well, listen, in my defense, I kinda quit playing sometime in early 2023. But anyways, as the years go on, I find myself missing the gameplay and the idols I had collected. And I mean, I'll even come clean and admit it. Back when I was really into this game, I definitely spent a few $100s on it easily. I never suggest doing that, but I couldn't help myself. Today I'm setting out on one single mission. I want to scratch that itch that's been growing for the past 2 years now. I want to get back into the game that I used to love playing so much. And when I mean get back into it, I literally mean trying to actually access it and get into it. So it should go without saying that before we get into any of this, I obviously figured none of this out. We have to give a huge thank you to the LL Hacks community. They had a Discord server and it looks like it's not up anymore. Don't know what happened there. Anyways, it looks like there was quite a community of highly talented individuals that all came together and made something beautiful. And that is the ability to host your very own CFAS server, which is amazing. They have full documentation available here, and they even have an application and stuff that we're going to get into in a moment. And yeah, so let's get into it. Let's try and figure this out. Sorry, but just one more thing before we actually start having fun. I'm actually making this while editing the video. I forgot to give a shout out to Yumemichi and Arina I don't even know, 99999999997. Yumemichi actually made the Erichika application, which is what we're going to be using today to host our own server. And it seems that Arina has made a fork of Yumemichi's Erichika, and that's actually the specific version of Erichika we're using this fork. So I believe both of these people here deserve a huge amount of credit as well for their awesome work on making this a reality. So yeah, let's get into it. So what exactly do I need to be once again reunited with my amazing 2D PNG waifus? Well, we're going to need this, and we're also going to need an old Android phone. How about that one? Okay, that's a lie. I don't want to use this one. When I first played Love Live School Idol Festival's All-Star, I actually did play it on a BlackBerry Key 2. Not an LE, the actual full Key 2 with like the 6 gigs of RAM and everything. And I managed pretty well, but it is true though that you will be needing an older Android phone, because Android phones, I think most that shipped with Android 15, unlike this one which shipped with I believe 13 or 14, they're just not able to play this game anymore. It's something to do with, you know what, I'm not even going to try to understand it. I think it's like page file or page or something being 4 kilobytes on, I want to say, the old version and 16 kilobytes on the new version. Now, not all Android phones are like this. Some of the new ones with Android 15 still have the old format, be it 4 kilobytes or 16 kilobytes. Can you tell I kind of have no idea what I'm talking about right now? But I swear it's true. Unfortunately, a lot of new devices are not able to run this game for that very reason, this page issue. Thankfully, my Sony Xperia came to me with, I want to say, Android 13 or 14. It is running 15, but the game runs just fine on here. But it goes to show you that, like, some of these older games are not going to be able to run anymore. Especially when we see things like Google no longer allowing you to sideload apps onto your phone. That's going to be another big problem too. You don't need a PC, which is what this is, to do this. You can actually run the whole thing off of your Android phone. But that sucks, and it's not fun. Even though it's arguably the safer and most convenient way to do all this, I don't like to do things the safe and convenient way. Even though setting this up on an Android is probably arguably more difficult, I want to run this on a PC as a server. I want this up all the time, and I don't want it to consume a bunch of energy, and I want to be able to access it from outside the house, and if need be, I want my friends to be able to access it too. So, server time. But of course, this is Big T's Tech Corner, so it's never going to be, here's something that's just ready to go. No, 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 no. Here's something that's broken, and we're going to have to try and fix it if we even want to make this little project a reality. This is actually my old Media Center PC that we were using upstairs for the TV. It was running Windows 11, I want to say, for the longest time. Maybe Windows 10, I can't remember honestly. It was having a lot of issues right from the moment I bought it, actually. And as it turned out, they shipped it with a faulty SSD. Like, I'll show you. It is not a PCIe SSD. It is actually like one of those SATA SSDs, as you can see. And this one was completely dead. I was getting random hard locks, random reboots. Sometimes I would just get random BSODs. And yeah, it came down to this little piece of garbage here. So a friend of mine actually hooked me up with a good used Toshiba SATA SSD that was double the size of that one. And everything was great. Until it wasn't. One day it just decided it was going to stop booting. It was actually after I'd put Linux on it. I was running Linux on it for quite a long time, probably about half a year. Unfortunately, it just decided one day it was no longer going to boot. As the crude sticky note on the box mentioned, it just goes straight into the BIOS and it does nothing else. I tried a different SSD, like a SATA SSD, and I tried, you know, reinstalling and putting Windows back on like the SATA SSD, not this one, but like the good one. I tried it on both the SATA and SATA SSD. I'm repeating myself at this point. Doesn't work. But today, I want to figure out why it's not working. Unfortunately, at the time that this went down, because this is the sort of media center PC that was controlling TV and whatnot, this is a household that cannot live without Family Guy funny moments. We had to come up with a different solution immediately, and I had to set this on the back burner, but now I'm feeling motivated to figure out what the heck happened to this thing. I like the idea of running low-powered servers so that you can just plug them in and forget about them, and, you know, they do what they're supposed to do while basically drawing zero power. So, without further ado, let's plug this thing in and see what the heck it does. You'll have to excuse my very messy workbench area. In my absence, life has happened, and as we know, life is very messy, but that's just life. And you see, this is what it does. So it goes straight into the BIOS. Even if a keyboard's not plugged in, this is all it does. So maybe we can take a look at the BIOS again and just see what's up. I'm not really sure. So it has 8 gigabytes of RAM. I think it's like maybe DDR4. That speed looks like DDR4 to me. I can't find anything on like what devices are connected, if that makes any sense. Like sometimes it'll be like, oh, you know, hard disk, blah blah blah, and then you can change the order of that. I don't really know. So, oh, boot override, Windows Boot Manager. Maybe we bring that up. Oh, see? It just does this. Launch EFI shell from file system device. Warning not found. I don't really know what this is. I don't know what I'm doing right now, but maybe we'll try to restore the optimized defaults. Can you tell that this BIOS was written for a laptop? Max battery? I don't think we have a battery. I have no idea why it's showing me garbage at the bottom of the screen. Right now we're just booting off of the USB as I understand it. Yes, the installer. I do seem to recall this working, but I don't know what the contents of the drive are since I last attempted to troubleshoot this. So I'm going to go ahead and be very patriotic to my country and ensure that I select English Canada for the language. And we'll go ahead and we'll install Windows 10, I believe this is. Maybe this is Windows 11, I don't remember. And we will go from there. Alrighty, it's copying files. We'll see what happens here in a bit. Holy crap, it's actually working. This is unplugged. It's doing something. Was it really as simple as just resetting the BIOS and I never thought of that? No, there's no way. Well, this reflects poorly on me and at least my troubleshooting skills. It may have still had Linux installed on it because the partitioning was very weird when I went to go erase and like reinstall Windows 10. Either way, unfortunately, whatever would have been on there is gone. Nothing too crazy, but I did have a very comfy Linux Mint setup on there. So while this slow boy does his business, I think I will catch up with you guys once I'm actually into the PC, and we're going to try something a little different. It might be a little scuffed, and you're going to have to bear with me, but I'm going to try working around on this system and actually recording the screen of it as I work on it so I can kind of cut out bits and pieces and show you guys what I'm doing versus kind of just being like, hey, jump cut, and we're done, yippee. Oh, you see, it's still booting. It's booting. Anyways, I will see you guys once I'm in there and we got all the drivers and stuff set up. So I will be back in just a moment. Alrighty, so now we're on the mini PC. I've got everything set up with Windows 10 and we're gonna get straight into it. Now, quick disclaimer, this is probably super scuffed because I'm using like a freaking dollar store headset here. Gotta work with our budget. So I apologize if the audio is super scuffed and it's just not nice, but don't worry, you don't have to sit with me as I click through everything and whatnot. I'm just doing this to show you clips and bits of me setting things up. So here we're on the LL Hacks website, and as you can see, they have actually documentation for several different things, but we care about School Idol Festival All-Stars. I went down into private self-hostable servers. I'm doing this again, obviously. I did set this up once just to see if it worked, and I think I set it up incorrectly because I don't remember seeing a lot of the features that are being advertised on Arena 99997's fork of Erichika. We're going to start by getting the client, and you just go to private self-hostable servers. They do talk a lot about the client, like the actual application stuff. We'll come back to that. What we care about is hosting on Windows, so we go click the forked Erichika, which will take us over here to where we are in this tab right here, and then it talks kind of about, you know, how to set it up. They generally recommend doing it on Android, so it seems like this is what most people are probably going to do, but again, we're not doing it that way. We're doing it on Windows. So to get to where I was reading most of this documentation, I think we have to go down here to hosting your own server,
and then you click that, and it takes you to hosting.md, which is open in this tab right here. We care specifically about PC, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and unfortunately, because we're on Windows, we will need to start by getting some version of bash or git bash, whatever that is, because we're going to have to do a curl for this repository. I think I'm just going to go with git bash. I think this is the one that I used. So while git bash is installing, we are going to head on back over to where we need to go. I'm going to copy this curl command, because what this is going to do is it's basically going to bring the repository to the system and then run an install script, essentially. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to curl that, and we're going to tell it to go into there. So it's going to go ahead and do this and probably run the install script once it's done, which should build us an executable, I think. Okay, so this is exactly where I was last time, and this is what I remember. It says go command not found. So essentially, you have to install go. You can see it right here. It is installed, but I think there was a specific way it had to be done, or maybe I had to give it a correct path or something. So I'll be back once I have that figured out. So it seems like I just needed to update my path environment variable. As you can see here, I did struggle to forget where to put the shell escape character or whatever it's called. But once I figured it out finally, it looks like Go is running and compiling everything, as you can see here. I think we can just run it using like a batch file or something, but let's check first. So we've run our curl command, hosting using client, blah, blah, blah. If you have the GUI, you can also just run the executable directly. It should just bring up a command prompt window that runs. There we go. So now it's building the database for us, essentially. So we have to give it some time to do that. And while it does that, we can close out of git bash. We won't be needing it for the time being. But either way, it's basically, as I understand it, downloading the database and then I think encrypting it or something like that. It's really weird how this all works. Essentially, it's basically the game sends web requests to a web server, and then it basically just stores stuff in a SQL database. I don't know if that's how the game actually works. I feel like it probably is how it's always worked, but I never really thought about it, like how mobile games work, right? How they store your stuff. It's probably just all one giant database file. So I've gone ahead and shut down the server and changed it to the IP address of this particular system. You can see here, here's your CDN server, where you can tell it where to host stuff. You can also set a password here. I'm just not going to set one in this instance. There's a couple of different things here that we can probably not have to worry about, because what we really care about is just firing up the server. Why does it say page not found? What the fuck? Okay, so I found out my issue. I was missing web UI/admin. So once I figured that part out, we're in and we're on to the actual sort of, I guess, very basic config of this whole server. You can change some stuff here, like the IP address, the CDN server's address, admin password, a couple of things here like the autoplay. If you remember, it was always great. You could set it to perfect if you want. There is a couple things like mission progress multiplier. I'm not sure what that is. Resource config. So what that means is basically for star gems and like items like macrons, training items and whatnot, you can change it to be original, free, or comfortable. I had mine set to comfortable, and it seems to just give you a ton of stuff and it never runs out, which for a game, unless you're trying to play competitively, for this game, I feel like it's fine if you get everything for free, because at the end of the day, you're really just playing to enjoy the content, not really the PvP side of things. You can select events. There's not many you can select from, though. I'm not sure what that's all about. I guess we'll just choose autumn, because it's fall time. But either way, one thing that's interesting is that we do see, if we go here, We can modify it to add cards, create backup, restore content. I don't know how that works, because if I try to access just the basic web UI, whoops, I get page not found. So I don't really know what's going on with this right now. It says 404 page not found. It's just the web UI for some reason is not working. Maybe we can take a look at the web UI documentation real quick here. Let's see. /user. Let's try that. What does that do? /user. User ID password. What does that do? So basically what you should be able to do, as I understand it correctly, and we'll come back to it, is you should absolutely be able to put in your, basically, I want to call it your like School Idol Festival All-Star ID. You know the one I'm talking about, where it's like, that seems to be how you actually go in and do stuff. We'll check that out in a bit. So I don't think we're going to need to explore manually cracking open the database to do what we want to do, but we'll come back to that in a bit, because the next important part here is actually getting the app to work. And to do that, we need to go back to Adina 9997's fork. And in this case, I'm actually going to download the experimental. I don't know what's different. I currently actually have on my phone right now just new LLASGL. But this experimental looks like it was updated recently, and it's a little bit smaller. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to download that. And so we need to now go and patch the application, the APK. It's worth noting, if you really want to be hardcore and do the things, like all the things yourself, apparently there is an RSA key that needs to be used between the client and the server. And setting that all up manually is actually technically something I've done in the past for work. I don't remember how to do it now. That was years ago. And I'd rather not deal with the headache of messing with that. So I believe the Erichica client already has that stuff done for you. So like the patching to get past the end of service screen and to have the RSA key and whatnot done, that's all done for you. All we care about in that APK file is to change the address that it wants to connect to. So start by downloading this metadata string editor application. We can run it just as it is. It does have a bunch of Chinese characters, but I'll show you where to click when the time comes. So that's good that that works, but we're not done yet. We do need to get a specific application. We're going to use APK tool version 2.9.3, and it specifically has to be that version. You cannot use a newer version. I've been through here, I've tried it, it does not work. For whatever reason, I don't know why. So we verify we have 2.9.3. I believe it's written in Java as well. Alright, let's see if we can actually decompile this APK. So it should be as simple as running this command. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring up command prompt. Okay. There are times when you realize you are a total complete idiot. And, well, I just realized that in front of you guys. I was not even calling the right file. So now that I've named it apktool.jar and tried again, it looks like we might be getting somewhere. Now this does take a while to decompile. Even on like a beefier system, you can see here we can confirm that it is decompiling the APK. So while it does that in the background, let's head back over here and we need to actually sign, I think it's signing or encrypting the APK, and here it is. Yeah, it's signing. So we're going to need to download this Uber APK signer jar. It's another Java application. Now what we need to do is there's a specific file in here that we need to patch. So we need to find global metadata.dat. I think it's an assets bin data resources. Nope. Is it maybe managed? Metadata. There we go. Global metadata. Will take a minute to load. Now, since this is already set up to use the loopback address, which is just 127.0.0.1, we should be able to find the exact line we need by typing this in. Or at least it should find something like this. Let's see. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, after some messing around, I figured out where I needed to go. I was searching for the wrong thing. So now we're going to go ahead and put the IP address in. So we'll go ahead and put the IP in here. Just like that. And we're going to hit save, which is this button here. And then we're going to hit save again. And this is our new one. So maybe we'll just put it on the desktop. And I don't know, I guess it needs to be save.dat. So we'll save it. It's going to take a moment to save. It's editing, and now it's completed editing, as it says right there. We should be able to close out of that. And now, if we go to Assets, Bin, Data, Managed, Metadata, there's our global metadata. We have a different global metadata.dat. They're about the same size. Perfect. We can drag this in here and we can replace the file in the destination. Now that that's done, we just need to sign it, and we're actually ready to basically put it on the phone, or rather recompile it and then put it on the phone. So to sign the APK, by the way, there's other things you can do too, like changing the name, changing the icon and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that. Doesn't really matter. You can also even set it to do like an update if that's what you want to try and do. Right now, what I'm going to do is I am going to repack the APK first, and we do B. Will it work? Let's see. Let's check. Yep, it's starting to compile it now. We'll take a quick little look at how to sign stuff. It seems to be pretty straightforward. We just run this command. So you go to dist, and there it is right there. This is the file we want to work with. So now we're going to probably just cd into there, into this directory, just make life easy. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to run, actually we'll move Uber APK signer into there too. Why not? We should be able to rebuild it like this. So now, or sorry, sign it like this. So it looks like it's signing now, and it's done it. So the file that we want now is this one. This file right here that we produced is going to be our patched and signed APK file that we can just drag on over to our Android phone.
And just like that, I finally have the ability to go back to playing this game. And it wasn't even that hard to do, honestly. It's really awesome to see people come together and fight for the right to keep owning something and enjoying it. Whether you loved it or hated it, CFAS was a very important part of the Love Live franchise, and its shutdown marked the beginning of a rather gloomy outlook for the Love Live series as a whole, in my opinion. And while it has been a blast to play through this game again and reread the stories and redo the challenge songs, I just couldn't help but notice something was off. The more and more I was playing, the more I started to feel really alone. There was no global voltage rankings to check. My only partner borrow for all songs was myself. There was nobody competing for rally power in the channels. There was nobody to compare event points against. And most importantly, there was no SBL to look forward to. I mean, sure, you could always invite some friends to join, and that was my plan, but it seems like not only did everyone just kind of move on, but the app compatibility issue and the fact that my ISP doesn't allow me to use a static IP kind of just really threw a wrench into that plan of mine. I think that no matter how much effort people can pour into bringing something back, you're never truly going to be able to bring back the community to what it once was. And so, after coming to this unfortunate realization, launching the game has become more of a bittersweet thing to me these days. But then I'm instantly greeted with Chica and her big smile, and then everything becomes instantly better again. Other than that, there's not really much else to talk about. The game is mostly there. The biggest thing we're missing is the SBL, and I think there's a number of events that we can't select for some reason. Maybe they're just not implemented or something, I don't know. But I think this is a game at this point that's more suited for people who really just want to go back and enjoy the content that came from it, like the Bond stories, the regular stories, the event stories. It's not so much for those like myself who kind of enjoyed both the content, but maybe a little bit more the competitive side in building teams. And you can still do that, and you can still go and try and get some crazy voltage in songs and stuff, but at the end of the day, it doesn't feel as satisfying when you can't really compare against other people. Of course, you could always get your friends together and try and make like a crazy private server where there's no limits, and it basically just comes down to RNG and trying to find the best possible combinations, but I feel like most people aren't going to do that. Most people are going to want this just to go in and be reunited with their favorite characters again, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed following me along as I've been trying to get back into one of my favorite games, and if there is enough interest, maybe I can try and look into a dynamic DNS situation to actually host a server for, more people to join. But until then, that's all for today. Stay tuned for the next video. See ya.